Aloha, my name is Pierce Castiro, and this is my term lecture on the relationships between nutrition, plant diseases, and pests. This term lecture will cover the relationship between susceptibility and nutritional status of plants, fungal diseases, bacterial and viral diseases, and the direct and indirect effects of fertilizer management. At the end, we will go over a few questions for review. There are various ways in which plant nutrient supply or concentration affects plant diseases and pests. The supply of nutrients changes the resistance of plants to pathogens and pests by altering growth and tissue composition. Depending on the pathogen or pest and nutrient supply for optimal plant growth, it may increase or decrease disease incidence with differences in response between facultative and obligate parasites. The effects of nutrients on plant growth and yield are usually explained in terms of the functions of these elements and plant metabolism. However, nutrition may also have secondary effects on growth and yield of crop plants by inducing changes in growth pattern plant morphology and anatomy or chemical composition, which may either increase or decrease the resistance of tolerance of plants and pathogens and pests. Resistance is determined by the ability of the host plant to limit development and reproduction of an invading pathogen, while tolerance is the ability of the host plant to continue growing despite an infection or an attack from a pest or pathogen. In nature and in controlled environments, progress has been made in breeding and selection for resistance or tolerance to diseases and pests. However, species of the parasitic organism are continuously evolving and developing the ability to invade or suppress defense mechanisms of their specific host plants. This virulence, or the ability of a parasite to successfully feed on a host plant and induce symptoms of the disease, depends on both the host and parasite factors. Resistance and tolerance are genetically controlled, but they are significantly influenced by environmental factors, where the nutrition of the plant can be considered an environmental factor. Protecting plants from disease is a key function of protecting yields. Management techniques such as the timing of fertilizer and lime applications in different forms and amounts not only affects the plants and growth, but also microbial activity in the soil and rhizosphere. Generally speaking, optimum nutrient levels in the plant provide the best resistance against disease. However, having too much of a certain nutrient may not be ideal, as is shown in a study by Kivilan and Sheffer in Figure 10.1, where an increasing concentration of nutrient solution is given to pelargonium plants. Initially, increasing nutrient supply stimulates plant growth and depresses infection, but the rate of infection begins to increase before reaching the twofold amount of nutrient concentration. From this, it can be concluded that plants with an optimal nutritional status have the highest resistance to disease, and the susceptibility increases as nutritional status deviates from its optimal level. Usually, plants suffering from a nutrient deficiency have lower tolerance to disease and pests. In Figure 10.2, relationships can be observed where in Type A, high nutrient supply stimulates growth but decreases disease-pest incidence can be considered as ideal because optimal growth is combined with high resistance. In Type B, a high nutrient supply stimulates disease incidence, often typical of an obligate parasite. The germination of spores on leaf and root surfaces is stimulated by plant exudates. The release of these exudates by roots and leaves contribute to the success or failure of infection by many air and soil-borne fungal pathogens. This is because in many situations these exudates are breaking down a layer of protection for the plant. As germination continues, the fungus must penetrate the surface by passing between cells or through them. The plant's first line of defense is having strong cell walls and intercellular spaces. Proper nutrition plays a key role in plants' ability to develop strong cell walls and other tissues. As seen here in Figure 10.3, many parasitic fungi and bacteria invade the apoplasm by releasing pectolytic enzymes which dissolve the middle lamella. During fungal infection, a range of interactions occur between hyphae and host cells. Inducible resistance mechanisms are associated mainly with the epidermis, and the effectiveness of these mechanisms depends on the type of pathogen and the resistance of the host, as well as on the nutritional status of the plant. Pectolytic enzymes of the parasite not only dissolve the middle lamella, but they also increase passive permeability of the plasma membrane and enhance potassium ion efflux and hydrogen ion influx. This may trigger reactions such as localized necrosis. Bacterial diseases can be classified into three types: leaf spot diseases, soft rots, and vascular diseases. Leaf spot pathogens typically enter the leaf through the stoma and spread within the intercellular spaces. Plant resistance to bacterial spread within the leaf is closely related to the structure and strength of the internal cells and intercellular space. Certain nutrients affect these disease-fighting mechanisms. An example of leaf spot is shown here, where soybean leaves are being affected by frog eye leaf spot. Soft rots are where bacteria mainly attack the fleshy storage organs of plants. Special enzymes break down the plant and turn it into a liquid mush so that bacteria may consume the plant's nutrients. An example is shown here of soft rot, the Rhizoctonia solani, affecting lettuce. The third and last category of bacterial diseases are vascular diseases. They are spread by the way of xylem. The bacteria's presence leads to the formation of slime within vessels, eventually blocking them in, leading to wilting and death of leaves and stems. Certain plant nutrients play a role in blocking and reducing the bacteria's ability to form the slime. An image is shown here of a vascular disease known as Dutch elm disease in elm trees. The last subtopic of this term lecture is the direct and indirect effects of fertilizer management. Fertilizers can affect the performance of plants and their parasites by their effects on plants and by indirectly changing the biotic and abiotic environment which affects the pathogen and pest survival. Timing of fertilizer applications is of utmost importance, along with the forms of nitrogen fertilizer and how much. Works cited in this term lecture include Relationship Between Mineral Nutrition of Plants and Disease Incidence by Don Huber, Impact of Crop Nutrition on Disease Resistance, Marshner's Mineral Nutrition of Higher Plants by Horst Marshner and Petra Marshner, and the Relationship Between Nutrients and Other Elements to Plant Diseases by Spectrum Analytic. Questions for review. What are the three types of bacterial diseases? What provides the best level of protection against diseases? How do leaf spot diseases typically begin? And what two relationships exist between susceptibility and nutritional status of plants? I'll give you just a couple minutes to think about the answers and then put up an answer screen. The answers to the questions are as follows. What are the three types of bacterial diseases? Leaf spot diseases, soft rots, and vascular diseases. What provides the best level of protection against diseases? Generally, having the optimal nutrient level in plants provides the best resistance to disease. How do leaf spot diseases typically begin? The pathogen enters through the stoma and spread through the cell spaces. What two relationships exist between susceptibility and nutritional status of plants? A type A, where high nutrient supply stimulates growth and decreases disease pest incidence, and type B, where a high nutrient supply stimulates disease pest incidence. Thanks for watching my lecture, and aloha!